And welcome back to C.H.A.M.P Veteran Community Chat. I am Kayla Alix, and I'm with my handsome co-host.
Sam Alix.
So, Sam, introduce our guest.
Yes, Raynard Price really needs no introduction to those that
No,
have crossed his path.
no.
Uh, I, I can honestly say he's the kind of person that has never met a stranger because I don't care who the person is, any walk of life, background, he sees something that he can connect with. And that's
Mhm.
why, the last 5 years we've known him, he's become like a big brother to us.
Yes.
And so his story is profound. So without further ado, want to welcome Raynard Price,
Welcome,
Navy
Raynard.
veteran.
So, Raynard, before we move on, do you prefer us to call you Ray or Raynard?
Uh, Raynard would be better,
Okay,
actually.
awesome. Okay.
Yes. And so Raynard, tell us about what motivated you to join the Navy. It's been only a couple of years ago. You're still a young man. So what was the motivation?
And happy birthday, by the way.
Oh,
Oh,
happy
thank you,
belated
thank you.
birthday.
I just turned
Yeah.
71.
Thank you,
So
babe.
I just
Yeah.
turned 71.
I don't believe it, by the way. But anyway, that's another story.
If I told you the real reason why I joined the Navy, you would laugh. One, I was going to American University and I wasn't doing very well. And I got a notice that my scholarship was going to come to an end. In fact, I got called in. And I thought my scholarship was going to end. I didn't know what I was going to do. So this is probably in like October.
Mhm.
And so I said, you know what? I need to run down to the Navy recruiting office. I wasn't really sure that I was going to do that, but I got sick with strep throat. So I was home watching Mr. Roberts. It's a Navy film. It's old. It's like, I don't know, 60s. And everybody is singing and dancing because that's the movie. But when I joined the Navy, people weren't singing and dancing.
Got him.
Reality set in real fast.
Got him.
And that's what happened. So when I went in, I passed the ASVAB. It wasn't difficult, but yeah, I did good on it. I did well. And I decided I would join under a program where I didn't really have to go in for another 4 or 5 months. It was sort of new.
Like a delayed
It was a
entry?
delayed entry program, yes, but it was very new at the time because at that time the GI Bill was coming to an end.
Okay.
Vietnam had just ended in 1975,
Mhm.
and remember it's 1975 when I'm going in, and it's the all volunteer service.
Wow, that's a new phase.
It was a
Yeah,
new phase.
yeah.
It was all volunteer service, and so when I went in, there were literally thousands of guys going in because everybody was trying to get the GI Bill. And since I wasn't doing well in school, that was a great opportunity for me.
Sure.
Not only could I sing and dance, I could also go to school.
Got him.
Okay, so that's what made me join the Navy. It was great.
And what was your MOS or your job?
My job in the Navy. So when I got to the recruiting office, I did very well on the ASVAB, and so the recruiter said, "You can do anything you want. You can be anything you want." And I said, "I just don't want to get dirty." And so he suggested being a yeoman, and as a yeoman, you basically your office,
Mhm.
and you work with military officers, as opposed to personnel men who work with enlisteds. So I chose yeoman because I didn't expect to be there long. Okay, and I wanted something that would allow me to go to school. School was really the issue. So, if I go to a 9 to 5 job because a yeoman is almost like that, I would have time to go to school.
Mhm.
You were really thinking about it. Go ahead, Kenneth.
I gave it some thought. I really did give it some thought.
So, with the GI
Yes.
Bill being a motivator
Yes, it
and an
was.
incentive to join the Navy, were was that an opportunity for you to go to school? Did you have an opportunity to go to school while you were serving?
The way it worked is, as Sam probably understands, that your dream when you go in is not the reality when you get there. And so there was a dream sheet when I was in boot camp, and that dream sheet asked, "Where would you like to be stationed?" And I thought that was very nice of them to ask. So remember, I just dropped out of college, so I thought I would put something fancy down, like it would be most salubrious for me to return to Washington, D.C., so I continue my education. And so they did send me to Washington, D.C. And when I was in the Yeoman A School, people were getting I slowed down the classes that they had. Because what I noticed was that people who were finishing up the classes, they were getting orders to the USS Always at Sea,
Oh yes.
they were, to someplace in Egypt, whatever. That's not what we really call it, though. But so the guy in front, the instructor said, Mr. Price, or Yeoman Price, you need to stop playing games here and get the work done. And I said, do I look like a fool to you? Because I did say that. I noticed everybody here who finishes up, they go cut grass or they work in the kitchen. They ain't peeling potatoes. And so that was it. I went to lunch, came back, and the guy said, okay, Mr. Smart Pants, you get to go to the office, the immediate office of the Secretary of the Navy. Everybody went, wow. And I didn't know really what that meant. I just knew it was in the Pentagon. So I didn't really think it was really all that great. But it sounded good, though, right? The immediate office of the Secretary of the Navy. It didn't mean down the hall or around the corner. It was
It's
the immediate
immediate.
office of the Secretary of the Navy. And so SACNAV, that's where I went.
Wow. That's pretty prestigious. And I think you've shared with me working in the Pentagon. How was that experience, especially as a young man?
I was young, and I got to tell you, it was, and I will bring a little politics in it. It was a Republican administration. And to be quite honest, I was quite comfortable. Young, Black, I look good in that Navy uniform. So I started meeting a lot of people, Elizabeth Taylor, who would come to have lunch. I mean, because these were rich people. And so I got to meet a lot of people, and I'm in the E-ring. I actually had a Navy chief. Everybody had, the joke about my not having a chief. So I really had a chief, but that's the true story. But I really don't remember my chief because the commander, who was the assistant to the Secretary of the Navy, took me from the chief. So the commander right now is my boss.
Wow.
And so all my evaluations, he wrote them, which I'm glad because he wrote some good stuff.
There were some perks for
Yep.
having that position. People, that's, yeah.
There were many perks. We're talking about working late into the night because, the world continues on.
Yes.
And it may be, maybe there were a bunch of admirals and they're all trying to decide what the next move is going to be. And I'll tell you a little bit that I experienced. And so if I'm there late at night, I actually was a spoiled brat because, disco was really happening at the time. And I really wanted to be at the club with all my friends. And I'm a little upset that it's 10, 11 o'clock at night and I'm still in the Pentagon, And so one of the perks is you get to eat. And we're not talking hamburgers. We're talking if the secretary got food on the tray, you got food on the tray. If I drank out of coffee cups with little eagles on the side, that's how I drank. And I got my identification card said all DOD, which meant basically all government agencies. So did I go to the White House? Often, okay, because that's part of the job. People think that, at least back in the day, they think that in the movies, if there's some kind of emergency or international issue happening, there's a phone you pick up and, that's how it works. And I can tell you that's not how it works. So somebody like me get a classified folder.
Yes, sir.
And my job is to take that classified folder to the White House or to wherever I got to. One night I was there till 11 o'clock at night and I got a classified folder. And I want you to imagine the Pentagon being empty at 11 o'clock at night. So because I was that type of sailor, as I'm walking down the halls, I'm wearing taps on my shoes. Click, click, click.
Click,
I was clean.
click,
I was movie.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
movie
yeah,
clean.
Yeah.
So, uniform, the whole style. So my job was to take this folder down to the National Military Command Center. That's in the Pentagon, across the hall from the Secretary of Defense. I tried everything to get in there, but they wouldn't let me in. I tried to use all my, everything. I got a pass.
Yes.
I got eagles on my name
Right.
badge.
I'm not mad at you trying.
That's right.
So hold that thought. We're gonna go to a short break and we're gonna pick up where you left off.
And I'll tell you what's in that folder.
Okay. Well, hey, stay tuned because he's gonna tell us the secret of the security clearance secret. You're listening to C.H.A.M.P Veteran Community Chat right here on 102.5 FM, sponsored by who?
The bread of life. Stay with us.